Lord. Just throwing in the ride. You're so smooth. What does the collective need to know? So, what I was getting for the collective is that, so the title would be Your Mama Said You Ugly. And so this is not a reading that I really wanted to deliver because it is quite heavy. It has to do with shadow work around the mother womb. So that, I want to say euphemism, I don't know if that's the right term, but that phrase is talking about like when a mother figure or a parent sends mixed messages. Like, for instance, my mother would do stuff like, "Oh, you're so pretty and you're so this," but then would do like little underhanded passive aggressive things to contradict the compliment she just gave me. Or she would do things that were toxic, were not, I would say counterproductive to a healthy relationship between a mother and daughter. And so when people do that, like one minute they're telling you one thing and the next minute they'll like go all out for Christmas and give you all these lavish gifts, but then throughout the year talk trash to you, do little underhanded things to you, try to intentionally burden you, basically being a narcissist. um the gift doesn't mean anything at that point, because if you're doing all these other things to contradict your actions, and then other words that you may be speaking, if you're talking out of both sides of your neck, if you're doing contradictory things, that is creating confusion, especially in the mind of a child. And so that's how a lot of us have inner child work to do, because subconsciously we're absorbing all the BS, but consciously we're hearing, "Oh, you're so pretty, you're so smart, you're so this." And so the person doesn't even have to verbally say anything. They could be giving you a certain energy, a lot of nonverbal cues. So it's just like somebody saying, "Oh, you're so pretty." Like that's completely fake, contradictory, inauthentic. And so I was hearing being double minded is when someone, and I talked about this on my live the other day, but being double minded is like when someone can do well in their profession or in school, but cannot function well mentally and emotionally. And that comes from those contradictions where one half of the brain is, like at genius level capacity, doing what they need to do from a analytical, practical standpoint. But from an emotional, mental, creative standpoint, the person might be totally stagnant. And so that's where you have the people who get degrees, base their identity on the type of degree that they have, how many degrees they have, the job title. And so that also can create personality disorders because the person has attached their identity, their worth, and their value to this title or degrees or whatever, but they're not addressing the emotional issues that need to be addressed. And so you could have someone who is an absolute expert in their field, but they can't really function with their coworkers and or clients or patients or whatever interpersonally because they have still not dealt, sorry, my contacts are acting up, but they still have not dealt with exactly what needs to be dealt with in order to balance those two energies. And so basically the subconscious programming is telling the person that they're not loved, they're not even liked, they're not valued. And that happens a lot of times when you have the custodial parent of a child of like maybe divorced people or whatever. The custodial parent will do things to create a division between the child and the other parent by brainwashing the child or omitting information or creating a situation where they're trying to sabotage the relationship between the child and the parent. That's a whole other damn situation in itself. That's a whole other discussion. Um, but essentially, the parent doesn't care anything about the child, in my opinion, because you're doing more damage than anything to the child. An adult can get over it, deal with it, handle the situation, but a child is when that again, that's the mental programming, the brainwashing, the subconscious programming that you're doing to this child. And so then if like say it's a male child and the father is doing that to a male child about the mother, now the male child has issues with the mother, loved, being wanted, rejection issues, maybe trust issues, and then that translates to their romantic relationships. So now whatever they have been tainted with, oh, your mother cheated on me, okay, now all women cheat, is subconsciously being programmed. Your mother did this, your mother did that. So all of these things are being subconsciously programmed in this child. And so that is why childhood issues, mommy daddy issues, all that stuff has such a huge impact on our adult relationships. Hey friend, thank you for the gift. And so because I was hearing, because the world is in chaos, most people gravitate toward the chaos subconsciously. So even though they're excelling at work and in business or whatever on this half of their brain, the other half of their brain is gravitating and growing with the chaos of the world. And that's, like I said, it creates personality disorders. It creates what looks like other types of disorders because you can, you're at the top of your field in daggone dentistry or whatever, but you can't manage your emotions. So you're like pissing clients off and you're getting fired from private practices and things like that. So it just becomes a bigger issue when you fail to deal with it. And so I was also hearing it creates a situation in a child where they can't figure out why they're upset, why they're angry, why they, don't know why they're mad at the world. And so I've talked about before how my mother was very well received in the community. She was very involved in the community. She was very politically connected. She was always, heavily involved in my school, Girl Scout troop leader extraordinaire, and all those things. So from the outside looking in, the community was like, oh, your mother's amazing. And I would go with her to events and watch her speak and watch her do all of these dynamic things and display like girl power. But then behind closed doors, this lady was a straight up narcissist. And so now I'm struggling with, okay, is she the person that is displayed in public, or is she this person? Because if there must be something wrong with my perception of her if everybody else perceives her as this and I perceive her as something else. So I was in like a constant state of trying to reconcile those two different parts of her or sides of her, or the two different worlds that we lived in. And so I would just be angry. I would just be constantly angry. I did not know why I was angry. I really didn't have anything concrete that I could attach the anger to, because I kept telling myself that my mother is this wonderful person. She'll give you her laughs. She fights for other people who don't have a voice, blah, blah, blah. And so that kind of goes back to your mama said you ugly type energy, because then I became what she was. I became outwardly what she was behind closed doors or inwardly. And so I would go outside. I didn't want to smile. I had resting bitch face all the time. I was unhappy. And that throws off a particular kind of energy, especially if you're trying to be in a romantic relationship. That throws off the energy of, I am not in a place emotionally and mentally where I can sustain a relationship. I'm not marriage material. I'm not settled down material, but I am good enough for you to have sex with. I'm good enough for you to use for money. I'm good enough for you to freeload off of. I'm good enough for you to be like a convenience for somebody who cooks for you on a regular basis. And so that's how we get into this cycle of jacked up relationships. And we're like, well, what's wrong with me? And you're constantly trying to figure out what's wrong with you to be able to attract the right person. But there are some like very powerful men. I'm just gender neutral, but I'm just speaking from a male female perspective. There's some very powerful men, for instance, who will, not see you as the person that they want to have children with, but you could definitely be a placeholder until they find that person, because you're attractive. You may have, your own place, your own car, nice job. You have a lot of things going on for yourself, but your emotional stability is not there. And so, what I was also hearing is that if you are a spiritualist, so what I have started doing is I have started journaling before I get on live. My journaling is what is triggering, if you will, or prompting me to tap into the divine and my creativity in order to deliver messages like this. Now, I did not want to get on here and have to deliver this message, because this is not a popular message. This is not like one of those messages that is going to get me a bunch of followers and um, have people sitting in my live to listen to this, because this is a hard conversation to have with people. And the majority of people do not want to address it. They want to, eat it away, or, have some other kind of vice that they use in order to distract themselves from having to deal with it. And and I'm not saying that every message has to be dark. I'm not saying every message has to be light, rainbows, gumdrops, and butterflies. I'm saying that there needs to be a balance between the two. Because if you're not delivering messages that can actually help people to get where they want to go, then you're just creating a collective of people living in a delusional state. And I'm not here to create illusions for people. I'm not here to play games with people. I'm also not here to be just a messenger of gloom and doom. What I'm doing is I'm giving you scenarios in order to maybe relate to, and then I'm giving you a solution for how you can handle it. Now, if you're not at the point where you're able to, willing to, or comfortable with airing your dirty laundry, so to speak, online or in a video or post or whatever, then you can do this, just, journal in your own personal time and do some self-reflection, reflect on the relationships in your life, especially with your parents. And if you have children, the relationships with your children and past relationships. And what I do is I write letters to these people. I write letters to my parents, even though my mother has passed on. I write letters to my dad. I write letters to past relationships, because I have had a string of people, not saying that I'm just out here sleeping with a bunch of people, because I'm not. But I can figure out where someone is going early on so that I can cut it out. Like if the person just wants to call me late at night, or just wants to come over and do Netflix and chill, or just wants to, oh, can I come bring you dinner? No, you can't. Because I know exactly where that's going, and I'm not going there with you, because I want something solid, sustainable. I want someone who's completely in love and enamored with me, and I don't want something casual. And so, there have been times when I have found myself involved in something casual because I was, like not allowing time to see the signs of where it was going. But now I'm very intentional, I'm very deliberate, and I look at what I'm being offered. Am I being breadcrumbed? Is the person only texting me? Those are all signs of, like, there could be a third party, because if you've never been invited over that person's house, if the person only texts you, if you can't just call them at random and they pick up the phone, I'm not saying that they should be available to you 24/7. But there should be times outside of when they're driving to work, at work, driving home. Because I dealt with this guy where I could talk to him all day at work or text or whatever, and then I could talk to him on his way home. As soon as he parked his car in that driveway, he would get off the phone. Why? Because he was living with somebody. And so, these are all things that we have to be cognizant of, because if you don't want to keep getting your feelings hurt, if you don't want to keep having jacked up relationships where you're not getting exactly what you want, then there's going to have to be sacrifices. And that's the other thing that we don't want to do in relationships. We just want to hurry up and get to the good part and, you know, skip over, well, maybe I need to pull back a little bit. Maybe I need to um date other people so that I'm not just focused on this one person who could be playing games with me. You know, um, there's so many different things that I have been through because I wasn't really doing the work and I wasn't paying attention. And I just wanted to desperately be in a relationship. And that's a really bad place to be. And I'm not gonna lie to y'all. There are times now when I'm lonely and I want to be in a relationship and all of that stuff, and I'm just like, But am I willing to sacrifice my heart, my energy, my love? Am I willing to invest all of that time and energy into the wrong person? Absolutely not. And so I'll just be single until the damn cows come home if necessary. Until that person comes into my life who is actually putting forward the effort and all of those things. Because even if it's like a long distance relationship, unless we're talking about different continents or something like that, if the person is going to have a long distance relationship, they should be willing to come to travel to you. You shouldn't have to travel to them all the time or whatever. I'm not saying don't share the responsibility of traveling, but I am saying that there should be a deliberate, intentional effort. You know, if this, and I still deal with trust issues, I still deal with abandonment issues and all those things. And I'm not a needy person, and I'm not that person that's going through people's phones and stuff like that. I'm not trying to investigate, but I do need some reassurance sometimes. So, like, for instance, what I'll do is if I'm dealing with somebody and I know that, because I go live and things like that, I'll put my phone on do not disturb when I go live. But it would be good for me to say to this person, hey, if you see my phone on do not disturb, it doesn't mean that I'm out dating someone else. It doesn't mean that I have company. It just means that I'm on live. And then you can actually verify that I'm on live if you so choose. But a lot of times that's all people need, because those are just little steps that you can take to reassure people, because people have really been through some traumatic situations in relationships out here. And so, and also, like I was saying, if your parent has brainwashed you and sabotaged you against the opposite sex, or if even the same sex, if that's what you're into, that is where those things are coming from. And so we all have to be cognizant of that for each other, show each other compassion and consideration, and do those things. And I'm not like, I don't really subscribe to the whole treat people the way you want to be treated, because I feel like different people like different things. There's some people who are like, you really don't have to tell me that you're on live. I'm cool. Like, I'm not that much in my head that you got to tell me that. And then there's some people that are like, what's up? I saw your phone was on do not disturb. Should I be concerned? That type of thing. And so I'm not saying that you should be reassuring this person to the point of exhaustion. That's absolutely not what I'm saying. Because each of us, like, our gift to our relationship is bringing as whole of a person as possible. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's completely whole. Nobody doesn't have any healing work to do at any given time. It's just that you have taken those steps to bring the best you to the relationship, period. And so that can then be reciprocated, and that's how you build with someone. But no, this person should not be blowing your phone up. This person should, and I mean, if that's what y'all like in a relationship where you share each other's location and stuff like that, and your phone is completely open to the other person, that depends on the actual relationship. But we're not talking about no toxicity, because that is like getting into domestic violence when somebody is like trying to control how you wear your hair, what kind of makeup you wear, what clothes you wear, where you're going. They need to know everything about where you are. Now, if a man wants to just know where you are so that they can protect you, and there's nothing toxic about it, they're just being a man and a protector, that's totally different. And again, that goes back to how were you raised about romantic relationships? Were you raised by someone who doesn't understand what a real man doing real men things looks like? So they think that a man wanting to know, okay, well, are you going somewhere after work? Because if you don't, like if you normally get home around 7 o'clock and I don't hear from you and it's 9 o'clock, now I'm worried. So can you just let me know? I'm stopping by the store to get something from the grocery store. Let me know if you need anything. I'll be home after that. That's regular, normal, common courtesy type shit. Okay. Thank you for the compliment. I use Korean skincare, Dr. Malaxin, and I need to be getting paid. But I use a filter too, so I'm not even gonna cap for y'all. This is also a filter. But I mean, this is what I look like with makeup on. So I do take care of my skin, and it is clear and all that without makeup, but I'll have a little assistance right now. But thank you. So let's pull some cards and see. And again, going back to like spiritualists who are on here doing readings, and if it's only positive readings and they're not actually having conversations like this that aren't as favorable, then they're creating the illusion that you can have all of these things that you want without doing the work. So one thing that I was very intentional about when I was doing my manifestation, and when I do my manifestations now, especially with regard to romantic relationships, I always say to my spirit guides and my spirit team to please help me to become the person that I want. So yes, do I have a list of things that I would like to see in the man that I'm with? Yes, I do. But I'm also saying I need to embody these things as well if I want these things from a man. Because when you start being delusional about yourself and what you embody and who you actually are and who you actually aren't, that's how you get into relationships with people that play games with you, lie to you, and it's all about the image. I don't do image. I don't care how many followers you got. I don't care how much motion you have on social media or whatever. I don't care how much money you make. I'm not playing that game of we just gonna make our relationship look a certain way and that's gonna be that. No, absolutely not. I want something real behind closed doors, period. Hey, twin. So I'm gonna see what these cards talking about. You said, yeah, we not doing facades at all. At all. Because I'm a very transparent and authentic person, and I pride myself on living my truth and also being an example for other people. And I'm not gonna walk around here a hypocrite. I'm not telling everybody all my business either, but I'm also not going to sit here and pretend like I'm doing something I'm not for $1 or a follow or something like that. Yes, integrity, absolutely. And that's what the divine honors. The divine is all about truth and justice. And it starts with the individual. You said I gotta take my walks. I might not be okay. Alright, so Spirit, what does the collective need to know about this reading? And this is what I was just talking about. I was talking about sacrificing, waiting, sacrificing some dates, sacrificing some sex, sacrificing, talking on the phone and daydreaming about people in order to get exactly what you want. And sometimes you just have to chill. You just gotta wait. And I know that's not a popular message because I don't like that shit my damn self. That's why I didn't want to get up here and even deliver this message. I was trying to avoid the shit. Okay? And this also goes to, it speaks to what I was talking about, loneliness and being in solitude. And you may not be able to be in community right now. And also too, I refuse to be friends with people that put me in a negative or a low vibrational energy. If you're not fully supportive, genuinely fully supportive, and we can encourage each other and uplift each other and inspire each other, I don't want it. So I'll be by myself. I will totally be by myself until I find the right soul tribe, until I find the right divine masculine, all that shit. I will go on trips by myself. I took myself to Mexico for my 40th birthday. That is hands down the absolute best trip I have ever taken. It forced me completely out of my comfort zone. It forced me to be more social because most of my life, I was very introverted. It also took me out of the mindset of, if I'm on a trip by myself, I'm going to look lonely with no friends. I don't give a damn. And I will tell you, I met so many people who were on solo trips when I was on a solo trip. I could not believe it. I was like, is this for real? Like, people really take trips by themselves on a regular basis. You said, look, I do not mind traveling alone. Right. Okay. Okay. Yeah, definitely do that. And I was talking about people that lack initiative, boring as hell, just not want to do the work, want to breadcrumb you, want to come in and come out. I have somebody like that too. Every time we would be in separation, he would call me and be like, I'm so depressed. I can't stop thinking about you. I don't even want to clean my house. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Now, granted, I believed him because when people get with me, they tend to have tower moments. I mean, they tend to have tower moments. They tend to have awakenings. And I can't do anything about it. My energy does this shit automatically. I have zero intention of doing that. Cause I really be like, Spirit, can we not do that this time so that the person can want to stay around? But it was kind of a twofold thing. Like his overall attitude about women was more of like, I need you to be able to cook for me, clean for me. I'll take care of you, but I need you to like kind of be in a woman's place. And it just depends on like if that person is like that, but they're supportive of you building your business and you staying at home and they're willing to invest in you and your business, that's one thing. But if this person is like that and they want you to also work a 9 to 5 and all that shit, we're not doing that. And then too, I lost my train of thought. Oh, I was going to tell y'all that I had this guy. So I met him and it just wasn't the right time. He was dealing with his kids, like custody, and he was having to drive to Virginia every other weekend to get his kids, yada, yada. I was recently divorced and I was just like, I don't want you meeting my kids, because he was like, if we could combine our kids on the weekends that I have my kids, then we could work this out where we wouldn't have to go so long in between seeing each other. And I was like, no, I'm not ready for that. I just got divorced and I'm not ready for my kids to meet anybody yet. And so we parted ways, and then we actually linked back up again years later, like damn near a decade later. And the chemistry was still there. He was still a good dude for the most part. And he was like, you can stay at home, you don't have to work, but I need you to cook me 3 meals a day, because he worked from home. So he was like, I'm gonna need you to cook me 3 meals a day and make sure the house is clean, do the laundry, blah blah blah. And I was like, well, that's cool, but I definitely have a bigger purpose than that. That's not all. I cannot have my day consumed with just being your housekeeper / cook. And he was like, he laughed. He laughed. Like, purpose? What do you mean? And he was a Kevin Samuels follower, lover of Kevin Samuels. And I was just like, yeah, this shit would never work. You said, I don't even have the time because block them instead of changing my number. You said, well, that explains. I was just looking at him like, as tempting as it was, because the thing is, since we had history already, He pretty much knew how I was. He tasted my food. He knew how I kept my house, apartment. And so we had all this history already. So he was like ready. He was like, you can move in. You know, like we can get this going like next month if you want to. I'll help you break your lease, blah blah blah. And I was just like, that's tempting as hell, but nah. Because as soon as I didn't really know exactly where I was going with this spirituality thing at that point, but I knew it was going somewhere. And I was just like, why would I even bother putting myself in that predicament? And it was very tempting because I was not making much money. So it would have been real, and from what I remember, this time go around we didn't get intimate, but from what I remember, that thing was thanging. So all the boxes were checked off. And he was very successful in IT and all of that. And so all the boxes were boxing. But I was just like, the divine isn't even going to allow me to go there. They were like, it was like my spirit team was sitting there like this. What you gonna do, bitch? What you gonna do? We dare you. The thing was thanging. You hear me? You said, shut the fuck up, because I said that live thinking you're going to use your wand to get me. Right. Honey, and look at the card. But, you know, and that's what I was talking about as far as getting to this point. You're going to have to sacrifice to get from this bullshit into this bullshit. No, this from this bullshit to this good shit right here. Because we talk about wand, we talk about leadership, we talking about stability, we're talking about balance of energies. We're talking about, I'm hearing spontaneous, exciting, fiery energy, you know, calculated risk type energy. We're not talking about just no run-of-the-mill random ass person. You know, we talk about someone that has vision, that knows who they are, that knows they're going toward their north node. I'm hearing going toward their purpose. They're resting in their power. You said your higher self was going to knock you between the fridge and the stove. Clearly. Absolutely. The fridge, the stove. What'd you say? The fridge, the stove, and the washer and dryer. Simultaneously. And so, you know, when you're dealing with this type of energy, you're going to be overwhelmed. It's inevitable that you're going to end up being overwhelmed emotionally when you're dealing with somebody like this. Because especially because like the woman typically, well, the woman does guide the relationship from a spiritual perspective. And the feminine energy is so powerful that if this type of dude puts a woman in this type of energy, it's going to be complete and utter chaos in that relationship. And that's the thing. It's like, if you are going as a divine feminine, you can be a divine feminine all day long, but if you put yourself in or in and around that type of energy, it's going to mess with you, and it's going to impede your creativity. It's going to impede you from going towards your purpose. That person may introduce certain vices, drugs, and all kinds of things to try to keep you like tucked under their wing, basically. And so that's where we get situations where, you have women out here living homeless with their boyfriend, strung out, and doing all kinds of things for somebody who is in a horrible state in life. We can't do that. You said loud and clear, absolutely. You said all the above. Okay, all the above. Yeah, we not doing that. So, Spirit, where's this King of Wands? What's up with this King of Wands here? What's up with the King of Wands? Because the King of Wands is going to boldly move towards you rapidly. They're going to know. They're going to, like, this person is so decisive that they can see their target and they move towards it immediately. They're not like hemming and hawing. They're not thinking about it. They're not having to ponder it. They're not having to call 5 homeboys to figure out, are you the one? No. This person is fully in their leadership. They make good, sound decisions and I'm hearing from a humane perspective. So it's not just about making decisions because they want to make a decision. They actually consider the lives of the people their decisions could be affecting. That's very powerful. That is very powerful. Because for you to be able to make a quick, solid decision at that, because like I said, Wands is fast-moving energy. So if that person is someone that can think clearly, sharply, quickly, and make good decisions on the fly, and it also is not something that is a detriment to a lot of people, every decision isn't going to be perfect. Every decision isn't going to be like the right decision, so to speak. Every decision isn't going to make everyone happy in the situation. But if someone is able to make quick, solid decisions with the good of others and the highest and best good of others in mind, that's what I want my husband to embody. Can we decree and declare that that's the type of energy that our partner, the collective's partner, is going to embody? Because I need that in my life. I really, really do. I really, really do. And this is, that greedy energy, just not managing money well, not sharing. We not having that. And like I was just talking about, being honest, being principled, being trustworthy. This is somebody that I can put my trust in. Look, I don't know about y'all, but to me, trust is more important than love. Love equals trust. Trust equals love to me. Because I'm not saying that when you trust someone, that means that they're never going to disappoint you. They're never going to make a decision that you don't like. They're never going to have, anything going on that you don't necessarily agree with. But when you trust them, to trust someone means that you know that they have a pure heart. That if they make what seems like a mistake or a poor decision, that there was no malice intent. There was nothing vindictive about it. There was nothing sneaky about it. There was no trickster energy about it. This is decisiveness. This is forethought. This is an experienced leader right here. This is somebody, his spirit is saying, this is someone who is pulling wisdom and knowledge and experience from their memory bank. You don't have there shouldn't be anything awry or dishonest or untrustworthy about how this person is moving, because this person, when they're in this energy, they understand the value of slow and steady wins the race. They understand the value of investing or sowing a seed and allowing it time to grow. They're not trying to get like a quick turnaround. They're not trying to do fast money. Now there may be opportunities for that, like if they know how to invest, if they utilize technology to invest, or they've built up their wealth where they could like flip houses quickly or something like that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about doing something illegal, doing something unscrupulous, doing something that harms others in order to get where you need to go. Now, if you have a past, that's a past. As long as you have had a past, it's in your past, you're done with that, you've made your mistakes, you've learned from your mistakes, you've suffered the consequences, and you have moved completely forward from that, that's different. And I actually feel like that's essentially what the cards are saying, is that the person had to go through these different phases, and that's basically what the tarot is you having to go through these different phases of being in different places energetically in order to get to this place, you're not born like that. Some people, it may seem like they're born like that, but like I said, even if you're a born genius or you have some amazing, phenomenal gift, rare gift, there's still a journey and a process that you have to go through energetically. Because like I said earlier, you can have all of these qualities, and you can be the most successful person in business. You could be, like I said, the top plastic surgeon in the country. But if you have zero bedside manner, and you out here just talking crazy to the head of the damn department or whatever, if your patients are complaining. I was watching a video, it was viral. It was showing this woman in labor and how the nurse, like the triage nurse, when she went to the hospital, had her whole back to the woman, was just looking in the computer, and she's asking the woman questions. The woman is writhing in pain. The video literally said this woman gave birth 12 minutes after the video was taken. 12 minutes. That means that she was rapidly going through the phases. I think it's called aphasia, where your cervix is thinning out. That's why she was in so much pain. So her cervix is rapidly thinning and opening. The child is descending into the birth canal. Because she was sitting there, she was like, this baby is in my ass. That means you about to push. And this nurse had her whole back. When is your due date? What's your doctor's name? And the girl's like, and the person videotaping, I guess it was her mom or aunt or somebody. The girl is like, I told you who my doctor was. It's Dr. Such and Such. She was like, when is your due date? I told you when my due date was. It was the 10th. So she's basically beyond her due date and she's about to drop. And this lady has zero compassion. You know, when you're a nurse, you have to have a certain disposition and personality for those type of jobs. Because you're going to have some people that are faking it just to come in here and get a prescription for some pills. And then you're going to have people who are really, truly suffering. I know that I'm the type of person, I try not to cause a scene. And I try not to be over the top. But there was one time when my ureter shut down. That's the tube that goes from your kidney to your bladder. When I tell you that shit was worse than childbirth, I was crying and begging for help. I didn't do that when I was in labor 3 times. I was crying. I was like, my whole body was shutting down. I went and they took my blood pressure and she was like, okay, we're going to have you wait in the lobby. So I went to the waiting room. I thought I was going to throw up. So I went outside. I came back in. I told the lady, I said, I'm about to pass out. She took my blood pressure again. She was like, oh shit. She ran and got a damn wheelchair and threw me in the wheelchair and ran me to the back because my whole fucking systems were shutting down. So I was like, you know, you have to have, and this is a whole other topic where Black women are treated differently, especially during childbirth. And this goes back to the idea that Black people can withstand more pain than any other race. And, you know, their needs get ignored. Like, there are women who have died at childbirth and they were telling the medical staff, I don't have feeling in my legs. And we're not talking about just from an epidural. We're talking about just straight up, something is really wrong here. So, you know, people just really... And we have the Two of Cups. Once both of y'all can get into this energy, then you can move into this energy where you're in unity and partnership, working together. I always look at this card as divine union, like a union that's divinely guided, a very healing union. I was just talking about the medical field, and here we go with the caduceus. This is also representative of the balance of the masculine and feminine within, the healing of the masculine and feminine within, the merging, the marriage of the masculine and feminine within. And I already know this is not a popular message. It's just not. And I can tell y'all that I have been getting readings for the last 3 years, and I like either voice record or screen record my readings that I get. And I went back in my voice notes today because I know that I tend to read a lot of future energy, and I know that readers who read me tend to read me from a future perspective. So that's another little tip. If you are if you're getting readings and you're expecting that every time the reading is supposed to be current for like tomorrow or next month or the end of the year or whatever, that reading could be for 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line. I hate to break it to you. But what's interesting is that a reading can actually pertain to your current situation, but it can also pertain to a future scenario. So, like, I'm listening to lives from 2023, but I'm like, damn, like, I actually legit could have gotten this reading last month when I was dealing with Homeboy. It sounds like this shit could apply to my damn life right now. And that was from 2 years ago. So, there's so many intricacies to the spirit realm. There's so many intricacies to energy that, I hope that people would not play around with this type of art. Whether it be from a sitter perspective where you don't have any interest in becoming a spiritualist, or from a spiritualist perspective, this is a very delicate art. And if you're not doing the work, you're going to constantly be just skimming the surface. My readings go deep and they go wide because that's how I work on myself. Even when I have gone deep, I'm like, how can I go wide too? What else can I look at that is, it's kind of like a cross. Where does like the wide part of me meet the width or length part of me? Because it's different energies. And if you're just going to try to focus on one type of energy, like for instance, if you want to be in a romantic relationship and you get a reading that says there needs to be some inner child work, some mother wound work that needs to be done. Okay, well, that may be depth wise, but width wise, we might be talking about, I saw my mother get abused by so and so, and that's affecting this part, if that makes any sense. So it can't just be limited to, oh, well, I have to work on this is how my mother treated me. But when you really look at it from a width perspective, you really have to look at, well, when my mother was dating Randy, she subjected me to him abusing her, and she really didn't do anything about it. She subjected me to him abusing me and didn't really do anything about it. So depth wise, yes, it's a relationship thing with your mother, but width wise, it goes even farther out than that to other people and other circumstances. I mean, spirit is, I don't know, this is for somebody specific, but spirit is talking about how they're a mother, somebody's mother used to be the last person to pick them up from aftercare, like school aftercare. So when you put your child in a predicament like that, you have the adults talking shit within your child's earshot. Man, this lady do this every day. Like she can't be on time for anything. I'm ready to go home. I have a family too. I gotta feed my kids. That affects the child because they're basically taking on the energy of the adults that are doing that around them. And that's for some people who work in a school environment. Do not subject the children to that shit, because that's not their fault that their parent is damn trifling and can't get them picked up on time. There could be a whole host of things going on as to why that person cannot pick their child up on time. They could be, being abused, or they could have been like held captive in the house, and so they were late. I don't know. But if it's habitual, that's probably just damn poor time management. But regardless, the child is caught in the middle. So they're dealing with the fact that, like, my mom doesn't care about me enough to be prompt to pick me up by the time that after school closes. And then on top of that, you have the people that work there that are not having compassion for this child who has no control over what their parent is doing. That's for somebody. So it can be the most subtle things that affect how a child perceives how a child perceives their worth, their value. And so that's why, like, I was telling a friend of mine, I was like, you picked the perfect woman to be the mother of your child or your children. It's like, at that point, when you have done that, and when you can honestly say that, even if the relationship didn't end well, even if you're divorced or whatever, if you have that type of respect for your child's mother, who is the primary caregiver of your children, and your children watch how you interact and co-parent with their parent, I was telling him that teaches your daughter how she should be treated by men. It teaches your son how he should be treating women. And, regardless of whether they are straight or gay or whatever, I'm just, to make it simple and plain, this is how I'm explaining it. But just period. It also teaches having respect for their mother. Because when one of the parents is bitter, it creates division to the point where the kids know that they can play the parents against each other. So then it becomes a competition of who can be the cool parent, who can be to this parent, who can be to that parent. And it's a bunch of bullshit. And the kids use that to their advantage, but they're also looking at, like, whoever the favorite parent is, the fun, cool parent, that parent has the most ability to manipulate the minds of the children against the other parent. And it's not right. It's just not. Because first of all, you're teaching your kids how to be liars and manipulators a lot of times when you do shit like that. Because children are smart enough to know that you full of shit. You talking shit about my mom? or my dad, but I know them for myself and I know that you full of shit. But because I want things my way, I'm going to let you just do that. But it's teaching the child how to be like that. And it's also, like I said, it's teaching the child to have a lack of respect for the other parent. Like the person I was talking to was like, I would, if somebody hurt my ex-wife, they would be handled. That is the type of energy your children need to see how you treat their mother. And I know, and I was saying that I'm an advocate for marriage, of course, first and foremost. But I'm also an advocate for not showing your children a dysfunctional ass relationship. If y'all are not sleeping in the same bedroom, if y'all are fighting all the time, if y'all, it's just a bunch of chaos and drama, and especially if there's domestic violence, those children should not be subject to that. They should either be subject to a healthy environment at home or a healthy co-parenting situation. And that was for somebody too. Because my mother did that to me, where she brainwashed me against my father. And I purposely did not talk badly about my children's parents. Because it doesn't serve me. It especially doesn't serve my children. Any parent that does that tries to manipulate their children against the other parent, and there's absolutely no reason for it. First of all, those conversations shouldn't be had with children anyway. Now, if there's some kind of abuse or something like that going on, then that parent needs to pull out all stops. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about your ass is damn disgruntled because you got divorced or the relationship went south, and now you want to try to damn sabotage your children's relationship with their parent. That is hurting the child more than it is the parent. And that is, to me, is child abuse and neglect. And it's also an indication that you really don't love your children. You don't know what love is if you would do that to your children intentionally. There are times when things slip, or you have to have a hard conversation with adult children about some things that went on because they have questions, or something is going on currently that they need to talk to you about, and it relates back to something that happened when they were children or whatever, and you have to disclose certain things. That's not the same. So we have the Three of Cups in reverse twice. And Spirit is just backing me up, talking about, yes, there needs to be sacrifice. Yes, sometimes you have to cut people off. Yes, sometimes you have to sacrifice going to the club, going to a party, feeling like you in the in crowd in order to get yourself right. And when you get out of this energy of being ungrateful for what you have, being apathetic, not being able to see the abundance that's right in front of you, when you get out of that energy, then you will be able to then move into a healthy relationship. Because a lot of times adults be acting spoiled as hell. Yes, I am talking to you. This man does all of these things for you. This woman does all these things for you. And somehow you just still not satisfied. That's a problem. It's like when someone, so for instance, it's like this man is paying all the bills, giving you an allowance, allowing you to stay at home, helping you to build your business. But when you want to take a trip, he's like, no, I'm gonna let you handle that because I'm handling everything else. I'm not saying that this has to be the scenario, but sometimes that is the scenario. It's like, do you want me to be able to provide for you everything that you need, including investing in your business, and have some savings for us? I cannot do a trip to Jamaica right now. You will have to do that. What's the revenue from your business looking like? And the person will be like, even though that person is doing all that other shit, just because they said no on that one thing, because you want to post your pictures of Jamaica on the damn gram to try to make these other damn people jealous that you shouldn't be around any damn way. Because they all fake and phony. That's why you trying to be fake and phony. And you out here looking like this. Because you trying to be on the beach at Jamaica. Your husband doing all this other shit. And you out here pouting. Let me tell you something. It couldn't be me. Because I would be at somebody's lawyer's office filing for damn divorce. Or go at somebody's damn courthouse. So when you're out of this energy, then you can start stepping into this energy. When you're out, this is in the reverse, but basically Spirit is saying when you put this card in the reverse, you can now you can move into this energy, because now you can appreciate people. You can show gratitude to people. You can actually build with the person. If you're draining all the money out of the relationship and this person cannot save for y'all's retirement and future, you should not be in a relationship. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard men tell me that women have done that shit. The song said, "That's all you got." That's exactly how them women be acting. And like I have talked about before, even though there are women who stay at home, a lot of times these women are still having their own business. They're contributing to the long-term savings fund or whatever. They're also contributing to, like, okay, well, we go on maybe 2 trips a year. So if you're taking care of everything else, I can do 2 trips a year. Now, you know good and well when you go on a trip, he gonna end up paying all the damn tabs for dinner and stuff like that. And it's not like the money is separate. It's just that you have to be able to contribute some shit. And that's where the delusion comes in. Because people create all these damn illusions of, oh, you can find you a rich man, a sugar daddy, and all that is going to take care of your every want, need, and then some, without you having to contribute a damn dime. That's a lie, because like I said, Shira 7 can be up here and I look, I'm not hating on Shira. So if you ever see this video, Shira, I am not damn hating or raining on your parade, honey, because I know you pulling in some big money. With all the millions of followers on TikTok and YouTube, I don't know if she's got over 1 million followers on YouTube, but I would venture to say so. I met someone who showed me their siblings' YouTube channel. The siblings' YouTube channel had probably like, I don't know, 3 million subscribers. His views are off the charts. That dude said that his brother was making $500,000 a damn month. Not a year, not a quarter, not every 6 months, a damn month. That is $6 million per year just from the damn YouTube channel. So Shira can paint this pretty picture of, being with men who make all this money and take care of any and everything and all of that. But she probably makes more than her husband, who is a damn engineer. And I'm going to always use her as an example because sis, I've been following her for years and I have seen her videos from, like toward the beginning of when she started her channel up until now. And it's like night and day. That lady went from kind of a heavy set, meek, mild, timid woman on camera to a siren in all of her damn feminine energy, fire, power. But women love that narrative. They love, the idea of having this man do everything for them, blah, 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 blah. First of all, I'm not dating nobody old enough to be my dad. I'm not dating anybody that's ugly and damn wrinkly and stinky and wears the pins and shit and needs Viagra. No. I have damn standards. So, yeah. And it's interesting that the 2 of Cups is half of the 4 of Cups. I feel like that's significant. Yeah. And just like I was talking about, homegirl ain't appreciative of what their partner is doing for them and not helping that person save for the future. This in the upright, it doesn't have to be interpreted as like hoarding money or not being generous or anything at all. This can just, you see how she's sitting on like a chest? So I interpret that as like saving money, putting money away. It's not all about hoarding. And so, but if you are in the energy where you would rather have a Birkin bag than to have plenty of money for when you and your spouse or you and your partner needs long-term care or assisted living, These assisted living places are like $10,000 a month. And that's on the low end. And when we're talking about low end of assisted living care or living, it's not gonna be where you really want to live. It's gonna be like on some hood shit. I'll say the $10,000 a month is on, like, upper mid, like I would say like upper middle class, borderline, luxury. We talk about like 200,000 a year for luxury. And even that isn't always the cream of the crop care, because they still, if you have a medical emergency or something, and they still not paying security like they should. And that's the first responder. And so, like I've heard some damn horror stories about the types of people that are working in these assisted living places and not making much money and just damn trifling as hell. So, like, I'll be damned if my parent is paying $200,000 a year to somewhere and their asses is, not getting top-notch care because people aren't getting paid well. Okay. You said, what am I talking about? I'm talking about how people will be in a relationship, like let's just say a man and a woman is in a relationship, and the man is like, I'll take care of all the bills, all the groceries, all the clothes, all the the household needs. I'll give you a budget monthly to get everything you need. I'll even give you an allowance every month so that you can get like your skincare and makeup, and get your hair and nails done, and get your body scrubs and facials and stuff like that. But the husband draws the line at vacations. He's like, in order for me to be able to handle all of those things, plus put some money away, I have to draw the line on vacations. That's where I'm going to need you and your business to step in. And there's legit some women that will sit there and pout because I want to be able to tell my friends that me and you went to Jamaica, and I want to be able to post for the gram, and I want to be able to do this, and I want to be able... Excuse me, bitch. You said, that's something. You said, and not make shit and get some of the staff members who care. Right. Mm-hmm. You said it's deeper than that because I've worked in assisted living. Okay. Yeah, I know somebody that's worked in assisted living too, and that person has told me some horror stories about, like, the security is supposed to be the official first responders, and they're the ones that assess the issue and then make the call to 911. But sometimes they not trying to do CPR, or they didn't have the damn defibrillator when they were supposed to. They not following protocol, and then the person died. You say, and when I say I got horror stories and I be so hurt how they get done, yeah, that's terrible. And like I was saying, there's places here in Arizona, because this is like a snowbird state. So it's a snowbird / retirement state because of the weather. So people come here during the wintertime and be snowbirds away from Chicago, or the places, New York, the places that get real cold and have snow. They'll come here, or people will retire here because of the golf and all this other stuff. And so it's like luxury assisted living facilities where they have luxury apartments, or they have little casitas to themselves or whatever. Those places, we talking about deep rooted long money, because first of all, you got to put 200,000 or so down just to be on the list. And then it's several $100,000 a year after that. You said, I remember when my boss would be happy to see me and be like, please get down your hall, because they were neglecting while I was off for 2 days. That's horrible. And that's another reason why people should really be good to their children. Because even if you have money, when you get to that point, you're still going to need someone who is regularly checking on you, regularly advocating for you, gets to know the staff, can see the warning signs and stuff. But yeah, a lot of times, especially with those type of scenarios, a lot of times those people are on, maybe public assistance, or the place is taking their Social Security check to pay for their living expenses, and people just don't care. You said, sis, they pay big money to be in these high-end facilities. And I mean, oh yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. The ones here, some of them are like several $100,000 a year. Now, they're not getting that type of treatment in these facilities that are charging that much. They like the security and stuff like that probably is slacking, but they not, no, they can't, they definitely not getting away with that around him. I mean, maybe some places, but as far as like straight up neglect, they not, You said, I've already told your nephew I'll die at home for real. And that's why I pray on a regular basis about having a quality of life, because I'm like, I want to be able to take care of myself and then just die peacefully in my sleep when I'm like 100 or something. They're getting away with shit and just yet to be uncovered. Yeah, I mean that definitely happens too. I'll have enough money to provide for my own care. Yeah, that's definitely the goal. But that's what I'm saying. It's like, when you get into a relationship, even with a man who is a provider and protector and is taking care of them, pretty much 90%, 100% of the expenses, just not like extracurricular stuff like vacations, and expects you to help out with that. Because you can be a stay-at-home woman but still have a business. And I was talking about Share 7 again, because I'm like, I know people who have millions of followers on YouTube that are making $500K a month, between the revenue they get from commercials, the revenue they get from views, the revenue they're getting from their subscriber numbers. Shit. You said, did they not tap the screen while I was on? Child, I've been talking to myself. I'm just recording content at this point. You said that's something I'm willing to do, especially if he's pulling all the weight. Yeah, I mean, some got to give. I mean, if you're married to somebody with money like damn Bezos or something like that, that's a different situation. But if you're dealing with somebody who's making a couple $100,000 a year and they handling everything, and you just all you doing is taking and you not contributing anything, like you better come up with something. You better learn how to damn crochet some damn baby booties or some shit and create you a damn Etsy store. I don't know what the hell you need to do. But the thing is what's interesting to me, it'll be the females that want to post for the gram, and it's like, well, why not figure out how to be an Instagram model, or figure out how to be an influencer, figure out how to get paid to create content if you do that shit anyway. Yes, there's a thing called compromise. Exactly. You said, I don't care if he has Bezos money, I'm still going to partake. Yeah, I mean, I'm still going to always, have something going on myself. But, honey, if he got Bezos money, he said she got money but can't buy peace. If he got Bezos money, we going on his dime on vacation. You said I can't stand how folks be selfish and say he the problem. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Straight up. You talk about let's gas up for real. Gas up the jet. Gas it up. Cause let me tell you, my dad has friends who have buku money. They bought this big ass yacht. When I say big ass yacht, I mean big ass yacht. We talk about it costs like $50,000 to fill up the gas tank. So, like, I know what that shit looks like. Okay. You said where the songs at? What you talking about? I'm sleepy. Oh my god. Oh my god. Bubba, can I finish my live, please? Bubba. Thank you. Oh, your dad's friends? Honey, they live, I don't even remember where they live now. But child, I've been on the boat. And we talking about big, big money. All right, I'm about to get off of here because sis is tired. But thank you for hanging out with me. I will see you tomorrow. All right, y'all. Night, night. Don't forget to send me your live. Yes, child. I got to get up in the morning.